Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We are here to talk about a better way to run fleet maintenance. I'm Nicole Cooper. I'm the CEO of Square Rigger. I am the second generation owner. My parents started this company over 40 years ago to help fleets modernize their operations. I'm joined by Jay Stone. He is my VP of Sales and Innovation. And at the end of the presentation, we will be doing a demo. I see there's a raised hand. Jay, maybe you can chat with Matt. I can't see exactly what's being asked, but I appreciate you all being here. Let's get started. What you'll walk away with today. By the end of this session, you will see why fleet maintenance becomes hard to control as your operations grow. What keeps teams stuck in reactive maintenance, what a connected maintenance workflow looks like in practice, and how fleets reduce admin, improve visibility, and keep your vehicles road ready. Who is this for? For fleet owners, for maintenance managers, shop supervisors, teams managing maintenance across spreadsheets, paper, or disconnected systems. Are you a fleet, a municipality, or a repair operation managing maintenance in a complex workflow across teams, vendors, and multiple locations? Is this what your normal morning looks like? It's 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. You have 5 trucks that are due for PMs. You have a truck that broke down. It's got a load on it. You have a driver dealing with a compliance issue, wanting their unit back out on the road, earning money, a parts person on hold, a technician waiting on parts? Are you a manager and your phone rings and the owner wants to know why have costs gone up in the last quarter and you don't have an easy way to get an answer? The problem is not the work. The problem is that most fleets are not struggling because they're careless or they're disorganized. They struggle because their systems are not doing enough of their work. When the system does not carry the workflow, the operation feels harder to control. Why maintenance starts feeling hard. Fleet operators are dealing with complexity. Vehicles, work orders, inspections, parts, vendors, reporting. Preventative maintenance gets harder to stay ahead of. Follow through depends on people remembering, chasing, updating things manually. Managers lose a clear, real-time view of what's happening across the operation. The breakdown is not the effort. What breaks down is the workflow. What does that look like day to day? It's not one big issue. It's a number of issues that add up. Vehicles go down without warning. Work gets done and then recorded later. Data lives in too many places. Technicians lose valuable wrench time while they're doing admin or waiting. Parts and vendors slow everything down, and data lives in too many places. You've set up process, but the adoption breaks down. Too much still depends on people holding it together. Problem one, vehicles go down without warning. You may have had a fault code error. You might have had a PM due, an inspection that never made it into the shop, service information living somewhere that nobody can access, and therefore they can't act on it fast enough. Your technicians are losing valuable wrench time because they're waiting on parts. They're standing in line at a kiosk or a terminal waiting to enter information instead of turning a wrench. They're entering handwritten notes after the fact. They're chasing valuable information about equipment that should be easy to find. That's not just inefficiency, that's skilled labor being wasted. Is this what happens in your operation? The work happens first and the system gets updated later. Work orders get updated after the fact. Updates happen at the end of the day. Details get missed. They're added late. They're added incorrectly. Managers who should be managing the fleet end up reconstructing what happened instead of having it entered in live. You're not running your fleet operation in a way that is efficient, it's running you and it's running your day. Parts, vendors, and coordination create delay. Is your parts manager spending a lot of time on the phone trying to track down parts? Are you getting incomplete or wrong part information? Do you have units sitting in the shop because you're waiting on a part to come in? Do you have work stopped mid-repair and poor visibility across your entire organization? The repair is often not the bottleneck, the coordination is. Let's talk about your data. You might be keeping work orders on paper in a filing cabinet. Your mileage comes in your telematics. Your parts information is stored somewhere or nowhere. Your warranty information's in a spreadsheet. You do inspections on paper. Your updates are trapped in someone's memory or in text, on phone calls. And when leadership answers the question, you have to piece it all together. Do you have software, but it's not working for you? Even good software fails if the team won't use it. Are you part of a fleet where you did roll out a new system and the process feels too heavy? The technicians have to step away from the bay to use it. You get new technicians because technician turnover is inevitable and they're not trained on it. And so the team falls back into old habits and workarounds are put back into place. Does too much still depend on you? In a lot of fleets, you have one person that becomes the connection point for everything. The follow-up, the status checker, the reminder, the person who knows where the answer is, the exception handler. The operation works, but only because one person is holding it together. The better way is not doing more. A better way is not to add more effort. It's about having a system in place that does more of the coordination for you. And what does that mean? Work is captured as it happens. Information moves automatically. PMs, inspections, work orders, parts, and reporting stay connected. Follow through depends less on chasing and memory. The goal is not to track maintenance. The goal is to reduce downtime. From reactive maintenance to a connected workflow, what does this look like? Today, this is how most fleets operate it. PMs get missed or they're overdue. Work depends on chasing people. Technicians lose time to admin. Parts and jobs feel out of sync. Reporting happens later, visibility is incomplete, and maintenance stays reactive. What changes in a connected workflow? PMs stay on schedule, workflows across teams and shops. Technicians focus more on repairs. Parts and jobs stay aligned. Activity updates in real time. Visibility improves across the operation, and maintenance becomes easier to stay ahead of. What a better maintenance system has to do, it has to capture work as it happens, not after the fact. It has to keep information moving so everyone's updated. It has to keep parts and work aligned to avoid delays. It has to make easy answers easy to access when decisions need to be made. How maintenance actually runs in a connected workflow. We'll walk you through a modern maintenance workflow from the moment the work is identified to the moment reporting is updated. And this includes how work gets triggered, how jobs are created and prioritized, how technicians execute in real time, how parts and vendors stay aligned, and how costs, status, and performance update automatically. The goal is fewer gaps, less chasing, and better control from start to finish. I'm going to turn it over to Jay so we can see Square Rigger in action. I'll let you take over the screen, Jay.
Great. Thank you. Hopefully you can see my screen okay.
We can. So, Jay, let's start with the beginning of the workflow. How is work triggered?
Yeah, so it all starts out there on the road, right? There's an operator, there's a driver, someone using that piece of equipment, they realize something's wrong. And And in order for us to get that information in real time or close to real time, we've got to be connected, right? So, our system is built from the ground up to connect to your telematics devices, to connect to different users. So we have the opportunity for you to allow any number of users to use our system. That's our licensing model. And then, when service needs to get done, your team is right on top of it. So as inspections are done, as operators find problems with the system, it all flows into our service request queue. So our service request queue captures these different types of work, whether it's reactive maintenance or preventive maintenance, everything flows into the service request queue. So you guys are always on top of exactly what needs to be done. The service request queue gives you an opportunity to decide what to do with it, right? In this example I'm showing here for my Freightliner, I've got a headlight that's broken and I got a tail light that's broken. And these came in two different ways. An operator logged into Square Rigger and put in a work request, and that showed up right here, and Jay put that in. Or utilizing our inspection tool, if something fails on that inspection, it automatically flows in here also. So we can even get pictures from mobile devices of what the problem is. So the team now in Square Rigger has full access to the description, what's the problem, who put it in, when they put it in, and now they can take action, right? So now we can create that service. Let's add a service here that will take care of this issue to deal with the electrical system issues. So we can add those services, and I can even add that to that same service. So I have one service that's going to take care of both these items, and I can instantly create that work order and schedule it up for my team. So now I can put this, tell Chris Wrench to get on this deal on this particular service, and now it's going to show up on his workboard. Even from this service, you can also see we can have preventive maintenance schedule that might come up, right? So we have a PM schedule. So it's going to show up right here so that we're always on the same page, right? Whether it's something that broke that nobody expected, or it's something we fully expect, right here in our service request queues where it's going to happen, Nicole.
That's great. So, Jay, maybe you can show us how work orders get created and how jobs are assigned to technicians and how technicians work in real time.
Sure. So we just saw me take a service request for my Cascadia and create that and assign it to our technician, Chris. So I'm going to come over here. I have a an extra screen here that I'm going to pull up with Square Rigger. And so basically, if I log in as Chris, which I can do here, um, I can see right on my board as a technician, I can immediately see what's assigned to me, right? So when Chris logs on as a technician, he can instantly see the last work that he was working on, and then he can see the other work that he's been assigned. So, all of those services that Chris is going to be assigned are going to show up right here for him to work on. He can come right over here to his list of what's on the board, and he can get started immediately on that work order. Chris has also the ability to create his own work orders on the fly if he needs to, or he can add additional services. While he's changing these lights, notice he's got full notes about what those issues were. He can now choose other services on the fly if he needed to. If he found something wrong with suspension or other things wrong with the electrical system, he can take care of those right here in this work order. And the whole time he's tracking his time, and it's just as simple as clicking on his clock. So once again, as you said before, that connected system where it flows easily, where that information from the technician is super easy for them to input, doesn't take any time out of their day.
That's great. Jay, can you show me what a shop manager's view would be if they wanted to see what everyone was working on?
Sure. So logging back in as myself here. As an administrator in this system, now I have total visibility to everyone's clocks, and we have something called team clocks. So anytime I'm wondering what someone's working on, I can pop open my team clock and see my whole team. And there's Chris, and I can see exactly which work order Chris is working on right now, how much time he's put on it. And if I want to drill into that work order, I can hop into that work order right here and see additional details about the parts, notes, everything that Chris is working on for that work order if I want to see that detail. But in real time, I know exactly how much time Chris has put on that clock.
That's great. What if Chris forgets to stop his clock and it runs for a day or two? Is there something that can be done after the fact to make a correction on the time on that particular service?
Sure. It's a common thing. Sometimes people forget and walk out the door. But as a manager, you have total access. First of all, you can always pop up your team clock and see what's going on with your team if everyone's gone in the afternoon. But you always have total control over being able to come in and edit the amount of time that someone has put on a work order. So, if I choose one of these work orders, I can go into edit mode and I have total control over updating those time entries to make sure we get it as accurate as possible.
Great. Let's talk about when the technician needs to leave the bay. And we want to be able to track things like going and getting a part or taking a break. How is that done in the software so that managers can see what technician efficiency is, the time that it takes to do things other than the repair work and be able to look at that across their entire team?
So as this clock's going, you may have noticed there's a whole nother option here for indirect time. So we can set up as many different indirect time codes as we want for meal breaks, capture cleanup time, capture, running errands, pick up deliveries. All of these are user defined by you and your team. So we can track every moment of that technician's time so that we can see, are we spending too much time running our technicians around doing things that, is not worth their time.
Great. Let's move on to parts. Let's talk about parts inventory and how parts stay connected throughout the workflow.
Yeah. So, as Chris is working on that, we'll jump back over to Chris real quick and go to his work order just to kind of start from that location. So Chris can add parts. Like most any system. He can attach those parts. He can look those up. We have full barcode capabilities. You don't need a specialized reader, right, to read those barcodes, although we can use laser-based readers if you want to use those, but you can also use a mobile device with a camera and scan those barcodes. So that's built into the application. But at the same time, Chris can search up these parts within the work order itself and easily see how many are available on the shelf. In addition to that, if something is not available on the shelf, Chris has the ability to choose alternatives, and the system will suggest alternative parts that are in stock. As far as these parts and how they're set up from that administrative perspective, we've got a really nice feature over here within our parts listing, right? So we can come over here to what we call resources and look at all of our parts and we can open these parts up and you can see we can attach pictures to these parts, but we have a really unique and nice feature to capture all that information about these parts, right? So we have what we call smart fill. So you're able to pull up a part and click on smart fill, and this will show you all of the different options for that part. So which manufacturer do I want to purchase it from? And it will even set up that part for you with all the details. I mean, technicians, we want them spending time turning wrenches, right? And getting trucks and vehicles back on in operation, not putting in details about parts. But many times these details are really important, right? They have warranty information on them. They have, future information on there that, if it's not in the system, then it can cost you down the road when other technicians are trying to access that part. Right here, we're capturing all of that. We can even pull in the universal product code. So instantaneously, if this is a part you haven't used before, it pulls that picture in so everybody knows where it, what it looks like, pulls in all the part number information, the details about the part, the manufacturer, and your technicians aren't spending their time doing that. So every bit of that is captured to set up that new part that you've never used before.
That's great. Let's talk about the purchase order process and part requests. What happens, and maybe you can walk us through if somebody's working on a piece of equipment, there's a repair or a PM, and there is a part that's out of stock.
Yeah, so in that situation, I'm going to open up this same work order we've been looking at, and I'm going to add a part that doesn't have anything in our stock. So we have a couple of ways we can handle that. You'll notice immediately our system is flagging it. Hey, Chris, this part is not in stock. You're not going to find it back in the parts room. So what it does is it instantly creates a parts request. So we have a variety of operations. Some people have smaller operations where they don't have a dedicated parts manager, while others do have a dedicated parts person whose responsibility is to make sure parts are on the shelves, make sure those parts are being ordered in a timely manner and getting the best price for them. So that part request right there instantly generates this list over here in our parts requests. So now I can look at my pending parts request and see all of those parts requests right here that are being generated in the system. So all of these are parts requests that have been created. So for any of those parts requests, I can now select multiples of those, bundle them up together, and choose, which vendor I want to choose for that particular part. So if I'm going to order it from, say, Southern Tire Mart for this, I can instantly create that PO right from the request. So very similar to our service request, we have those parts requests. Makes it super easy for our parts managers to bundle these items up, get pricing from the vendor, and then get that order out to the vendor.
Great. Let's talk about other software that's connected to Score Rigger. We know that the majority of our fleets use some type of telematics, and that information tends to live in the telematics software. And there's double entry that happens across the board. Let's talk a little bit about how we connect to the Samsara, Motive, Zonars of the world, and how that benefits our fleets to cut down on admin and help stay ahead of preventive maintenance.
No, that's a great topic and always something that's important. Most of our clients are paying an enormous amount of money for being able to pull up their equipment and see exactly on a map where it is, being able to pull and see diagnostic trouble codes, be able to do inspections. That's that device that's in the truck or the trailer or the, bulldozer or whatever type of equipment you're running. That's your eyes of what's going on out in the field. And not being able to have your maintenance team gather that information and utilize that information easily, it just really puts a lot of friction in your operations. And one of the really big benefits of us having a new modern technology stack is our ability to connect to all those new systems. So through APIs, we can connect very easily into the newer systems. We make it super easy for you to set it up. And of course, we would walk you through it. But all of these items right here, your services, they're being updated, uh, on almost a real-time basis if you want to. You can request a refresh straight from our system with odometer readings, hours. We do support kilometers for those in Canada and other places outside of the US. So all of these meter readings are flowing straight into your system so you know exactly where that unit is at any one time. If you have equipment that you're staging at customer locations, it's tough to know exactly where it's at. Say your customer calls in and says, "Hey, you got a flat tire on a trailer." Our system can connect to those trailer tracking systems, and within moments, your team can know exactly where that unit is. Utilizing maps right here, we can see that that trailer is sitting right here at the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Nashville, Tennessee. So quickly, you can dispatch out your team to get that work done fast, accurately. And then, of course, our mobile capabilities, the fact that our application is mobile, your mobile technicians will be able to capture all their time, all the parts that they use right here on the system.
That's great. Thanks, Jay. I want to just shift gears a little bit over to talk about fleets that use a TMS. Most fleets are using some type of TMS that is completely disconnected from their maintenance workflow. So when someone in dispatch is looking to schedule a load, they don't know if that unit is available, scheduled for repair, needs a PM. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that McLeod is often used with most of our trucking customers, and we've got a deep relationship and integration with McLeod. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what information passes between McLeod and ScoreRigger, and how we use that integration to avoid the double entry and to provide visibility to dispatchers.
Yeah, so that's an important connection, right? Our whole operation, if you're using a TMS like McLeod, um, that's where your revenue is being generated, right? That's where the real money's being made. We're booking those loads, we're putting the information in, and it's critical for your planning team to know if this piece of equipment is out of service or has a PM that's due or overdue that could put it out of DOT compliance. And in today's atmosphere, where with all of the legal issues that are going on, nuclear verdicts in the trucking world, it's critical that you stay on top of this kind of work because you could end up being sued and losing your business over it. So what we do is we connect all of that in, right? So utilizing McLeod's interface, we can push messages over, letting your dispatch team know right there on the McLeod dispatch board that there is a service that's due for this truck and it needs to be routed in. They can see, we can pull it out of service within the McLeod system so that it doesn't end up getting dispatched when it's sitting up on a rack in your shop. All of that information we can push over to McLeod from an operational perspective. In addition to that, when you bring in new equipment, the first place you're going to bring it into is your shop, right? And you're going to get it road ready. And within our system, we can push that data over to McLeod so that that tractor or trailer, as soon as you bring it in, is getting set up right here. So the other part of the McLeod integration is McLeod is a full accounting system too. So we have TMS and integrated accounting capabilities where we can literally build your GL structure in our system. We make it easy for you to capture those base accounts, build out the different accounts, how you want to post your debits and credits. And your maintenance team doesn't need to know anything about accounting, right? All they need to know is what truck I'm working on, what service I'm doing, and our system maps all that to McLeod's accounting and pushes it straight over into their system. And we can go to other accounting systems too. Whether you're using McLeod for your TMS and some other accounting system, we can do both. So we can push the operational side to McLeod to keep them on the same page with your team, your maintenance team, and also keep your accounting from having to do double work, right? Otherwise, you got to send a bunch of reports every month or every week to pass over all of those transactions, like your work orders, your outside work, your invoices, if you do third party work for other people. All of that we can manage and push that instantly over to McLeod so it stays in sync.
That's great. So we've been focusing primarily on the fleet side. And one thing that SquareRigger does that's a little bit different than some other systems is we have very deep features and workflows for independent heavy duty repair shops. I'd like you to maybe cover a few things on how we manage customers, invoicing, sales orders so that our customers and prospects that are out there can see how we manage that.
Yeah, and we have a variety of operations. As you mentioned, many of our private fleets open up their shop, right? They want to turn it into a profit center. They've got excess capacity. They've got a great team that can do all of the work that they need for their operations. So why not open it up and provide an additional service for their customers? And our system is built to have full customer management, right? So we can manage all of your different customers, set up that customer master file, keep the notes, contacts, all of that information. And specifically, all of this markups capability is super deep within Square Rigger. So we're able to define part markups, labor markups separately, fuel markup, all of the different markups that are necessary for you to price and be competitive in the marketplace. Also tax, right? So we're able to capture those tax codes for the different locations that you're working in, and we can make sure that that tax reporting is proper for you. But once you have that customer set up, now you can assign those customers to your different units, and you will notice here if we open these up, we have a whole invoicing section here. So as this service is completed and parts are added, we're automatically building out a full invoice for our customers right here. And then, of course, we can print that invoice. We can look at the details of that invoice, and we can email that invoice out once the work is complete. So full capability from that perspective.
How about if I'm a shop that sells parts and I've got to have just some a way to sell my
Yeah,
inventory?
we call this our sales orders. So a lot of times, if you have uh, parts on hand, you're able to get bulk volume purchasing with those. And as a wholesaler, you can then resell that to your other customers. Maybe you have a large owner-operator fleet and they want to buy certain things from you from time to time. Our system supports those over-the-counter sales right here. So this is a point of sale capability right here where you can fill out based upon who the customer is, how it's going to be paid. We can add those parts on here real quick and add as many as they want and build that whole invoice, print that invoice right there on the spot and capture that sale. And then, of course, that all flows straight over into your accounting system so that we're capturing every single bit of this into accounting.
Great. On the topic of parts, I know something that is a pretty regular occurrence is that you have somebody run out for a part. They go down the street to Napa, they get something, they pay for it. They've got to bring it back in and get it in inventory and make sure that it's accounted for, even though it might be going on a unit right then and there. How is that handled?
Yeah, we have a really nice functionality. And I don't know if you noticed this earlier when I had that work order assigned to Chris. I'll go back to this work order again. So on Chris's work order, you may notice that there is an option here for quick buy. And one of the big problems with systems that I've seen in the past is if you have to put the part in, you have the part, but you haven't received the invoice. It's going to come, it's put onto account, right? So your people in the shop are going and getting parts from your vendors, but it's easy to lose track of what's going on with that. And in addition, and what ends up happening is they're putting parts on the work order, but they're really not in stock, and nobody's putting the information behind the scenes about the invoice or any of that in the system. So we have what we call quick buy. So Chris, right here, if he has the right permissions, this is totally up from a permissions perspective. But Chris can go into quick buy mode. So since he's got permissions to do a quick buy on this battery terminal, he can click quick buy. He can get his vendor on the phone right here. He can have them on the phone. They can be telling him, hey, yeah, we'll bring it over to you, but you're going to buy 12 of them in a pack. And they can have that over to him in 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe he's already purchased it. and put it on account. And now he needs to capture that information. So instantly he can say, yes, I already have the part in hand, but I need to do the paperwork on it, right? So I have the invoice number was this, and now I can submit. So it creates the PO number. Notice it gives me a PO number here. It receives all those parts on the PO and instantly puts that part onto my system. So the beauty of this is now that part is sitting over in my purchase orders, or that PO that was created is sitting over in my purchase orders pending an invoice. So it's waiting on me to capture that invoice information right here. So any of these parts, I can easily now capture the invoice, take a picture of it if I have a tablet, and now I'm closing that full circle and not losing the integrity of my accounting.
That's great. Speaking of tablets, one question that we get asked a lot is, what type of equipment do I need? Is this something that I need to store on a server? Can my techs access this from a phone or a tablet? Do we need to have a dedicated computer for Square Rigger? Maybe you could talk through the requirements and what's available and how to use Square Rigger.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the most powerful parts of us being on the web, right? We're a totally browser-based application. You don't need any special equipment. You don't need servers. You don't need to download anything to use SquareRigger. You simply go to our website, squarerigger.app, and you can log in. So once your account is set up from anywhere, as long as you've got a connected device, and we've built SquareRigger to be what we call a reactive interface, right? So regardless of the size of screen I have, SquareRigger automatically reconfigures whether I'm on a phone or a tablet or a full screen. I have total access to the application from anywhere I need to get my work done. And, as far as backups and all of that good stuff, we're utilizing top names in the industry, top cloud service providers, and we provide, full backups of all of your data that you can get to anytime you need it.
That's great. We only have about 5 minutes left. I want to open this up for Q&A. I don't see any questions in the Q&A button where there's a question mark down at the bottom of your screen. I'm also going to put a link in the chat if you would like to set up a personalized demo. You don't feel like asking questions here in an open forum, but you would like to book and talk with us. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. Hopefully you all can see that. But I'll definitely open it up for questions. And if no one has any other questions, I will ask some more questions. Let's see. Great. So Jay, you touched on permissions. You're showing us a lot of information here. This might be a little overwhelming for a technician. Can you talk to me a little bit about permissions and how SquareRigger has set the system up so that any admin can grant, view, or edit access to any number of items here on the system?
Yeah. So permissions, we've tried to make those. Uh, I don't know if you've worked in other systems, but permissions can be really, really complicated, right? There's so many different ways that you can set them up, so many different operations. There's just got to be this balance between how you manage the permissions versus how granular you become, right? And I think we've done a fabulous job of setting this up to where it can be as simple as you need it to be, but have the power that you need, right? So we can have any number of roles, and you can add any kind of role that you want, and you can start with permissions from some other role first. So as far as setting up different people and what they do in your operation, that's fully configurable by you. You decide who gets to do what. And then each of the sub items, and it just simply follows our menu scheme, right? So if I want to determine that my technicians are going to get my technician dashboard, whereas my parts manager is going to get my parts manager dashboard and my admin dashboard. So I can have different dashboards that I can assign to my different roles. And then we have complete control over what everyone gets to see. You know, my technicians, I don't want them selling over the counter parts, so I keep them out of those permissions. Our goal here is to really keep this thing simple as far as permissions go. And you know, if you need to drill into more details, you can do that right here. So you know, depending on different functions within the system, some have more items that you want to control than others. You know, like with our work orders. So we have different options for viewing, right? So if you have a multi site locations, right? You have a location, your headquarters, and then maybe you have another satellite location in another area of the country. Or you may have 10 or 15 different locations. You can determine what each of your technicians gets to see. Should they get to see other equipment from other locations? Should they only get to see the work orders that their manager has assigned to them? Or should they get to be able to see the work orders that have not been assigned to anyone and only the ones that are assigned? Or do they get to see everything? So all of that's totally controllable by you within our permissions user interface. And we tried to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible so that it doesn't get overly complicated for the administrators.
Great, thank you. We only have 2 minutes left. And again, I apologize for the late start. One thing that we didn't touch on, and maybe you could take a minute or two to look at, is reporting. Maybe we could pull up a reporter or two and show the configurability, how easy it is to use. I think one of the uh, I would say biggest challenges for fleet managers is being able to pull reports and configure them in an easy way without being a data analyst or an expert.
Right. So we have a whole long list of different pre-configured reports in the system. As you can see, they're pretty straightforward, right? So I have all of the information I need right here in different columns, and then I can control them with additional filters if I want to. And then I have also chart options, right? So we tried to build in some charts here that make it easy for you to see some of the details. And then, of course, we can always print this or drop it out to a CSV if you just want the raw data. So all of the reports you can determine which ones are your favorites that you like to see the most and use the most. And all of these different reports make it really easy for you to get that critical information out of the system. And they all pretty much function the same way.
So Jay, is there a way to, if you're, let's say, looking at that inventory level and valuation to do a filter so you're only seeing the information you want to see?
Oh, yes. So our filters right here, if I want to see just a certain part type, part name, description, all of these different items I can filter by anytime. So,
Great. Well, I think we've run out of time. Again, I popped the link into the chat. If anyone would like to have a one-on-one demo, we would love to be able to show you the software. We're also happy to do a fleet assessment for you to figure out if there are ways that you could be becoming more efficient, talk through your workflow, what a connected workflow would look like in your organization. And again, I appreciate all of your time and have a great week.